Number 10. Fear of mirrors. Imagine brushing your teeth and catching your own reflection moving just a fraction too late. That chill you'd feel? That's the essence of spectrophobia, the fear of mirrors. While it sounds like a quirky superstition, the roots of this phobia go deeper than just horror movie tropes. Mirrors psychologically mess with our sense of identity. For most of us, the reflection is harmless, even boring. But for someone with spectrophobia, mirrors trigger existential dread. Why? One theory is that mirrors symbolize duality. Your real self and the other self. In folklore, mirrors have long been portals, traps for souls, or gateways for evil. Vampires have no reflection. Ghosts linger in mirrors, and broken glass foretells 7 years of bad luck. With that much baggage, it's no wonder some people feel unsettled. Science also backs up why this fear makes sense. Staring at your reflection for too long can trigger something called the Troxler effect, where your brain starts editing out familiar visuals. Stare at your own face in dim lighting, and features may seem to warp, vanish, or even take on monstrous forms. In psychology experiments, people reported seeing strangers, demons, and animal faces staring back at them. It's not magic, it's your brain misfiring, forcing you to question what's real. So, while avoiding mirrors might seem irrational, the fear is really a built-in defense mechanism. If reality itself starts slipping in the reflection, wouldn't you want to look away too? Number 9. Fear of holes. You've seen it before. A sponge, a lotus seed pod, or honeycomb patterns on skin. For some people, this isn't mildly gross, it's outright terrifying. This is trypophobia, fear of clusters of tiny holes. On the surface, it sounds absurd. Who's afraid of pancakes with too many bubbles? But neurologists believe it's tied to survival instincts. The pattern of small, irregular holes resembles dangerous things in nature: diseased skin, infected wounds, or venomous animals like pufferfish and certain snakes. When the brain spots that cluster pattern, it fires off alarms. It screams, "Avoid, this could kill you." That disgust, even nausea, is your body mistaking harmless textures for toxic danger. In fact, researchers at the University of Essex tested images of hole clusters against images of poisonous creatures. The reaction was nearly identical: spikes in heart rate, skin tingling, fight or flight mode. The brain isn't judging beauty, it's scanning for threat. Ironically, modern design has weaponized this fear. Viral videos use hole textures to trigger discomfort, racking up millions of views. And skincare ads subtly use it, showing pores enlarged to grotesque levels to push products. That crawling feeling on your skin, it's not crazy, it's psychology evolved to keep you safe. Number 8. Fear of sleep. Picture this: you're lying in bed, the room is dark, and just as you're about to drift off, you jolt awake in panic. For some, this isn't just a bad night, it's somnophobia, the fear of sleep itself. And though it may sound bizarre, it actually makes chilling sense. Sleep means surrender. You're vulnerable, unconscious, unable to defend yourself. Historically, this was dangerous. Fall asleep near a predator or rival tribe and you might never wake up. Evolution wired us to be hyper-cautious about letting go. Even today, the body fights this vulnerability with night terrors, sleep paralysis, and adrenaline spikes that jolt you awake. Psychology explains another layer. Sleep isn't just rest, it's also rehearsal for death. Many people with somnophobia describe the fear as practicing not existing. That existential dread builds into avoidance. Instead of drifting off, they stay up exhausted, as though their brain refuses to hand over the keys. What's eerie is that sleep disorders often amplify this phobia. Sleep paralysis, where your body is frozen but your mind is awake, can come with terrifying hallucinations, shadow figures, pressing weight, whispering voices. If you've ever had that experience, you'd understand why someone would be scared to lie down again. So the next time someone says they're afraid to sleep, it isn't just all in their head. It's a primal fear of losing control, reinforced by thousands of years of human survival. Number 7. Fear of stairs. You're halfway down a staircase carrying groceries when your foot slips. For most, it's a stumble. But for some, even the thought of descending stairs triggers terror. This is bathmophobia, fear of stairs and steep slopes. And it's not nearly as irrational as it sounds. Stairs are one of the oldest man-made hazards. A single misstep could mean broken bones or worse. Unlike flat ground, every step on stairs carries the potential for disaster. Our brains know this, and for some people, that knowledge becomes an obsession. Psychologists suggest this phobia is linked to vestibular system issues. That's the part of your inner ear that handles balance. If your body struggles with equilibrium, stairs aren't just inconvenient, they're life-threatening cliffs. There's also a visual trick at play. Looking down a steep staircase creates what's called a visual cliff effect. Your brain perceives the drop as more dangerous than it is, exaggerating the risk. Add in stories of fatal falls or the collective memory of medieval castles, designed with spiral stairs to trip invaders, and suddenly fear doesn't feel so irrational. In fact, modern stats back this up. In the US alone, over 1 million people a year are injured on stairs. That's not paranoia, that's probability. So yes, avoiding stairs may sound strange, but when the numbers in biology line up, bathmophobia becomes less about being silly and more about being a survivor. Number 6. Fear of paper. Imagine sitting in a quiet library flipping through a book and suddenly breaking into a sweat, not from suspense but from the paper itself. This rare but real condition is called papyrophobia. People with it can't stand the sight, feel, or even sound of paper being handled. It seems absurd. Paper is harmless, right? Not exactly. Think about paper cuts. Those tiny slices that sting worse than wounds 10 times their size. The sharp edges of paper, nearly invisible, act like microscopic razors. Your nerves remember that pain vividly, and your brain starts associating all paper with danger. Over time, even harmless sheets can trigger dread. There's also something oddly unnatural about paper once you notice it. It's made from crushed wood fibers, bleached, pressed into perfect flatness, and mass-produced into endless stacks. To a sensitive mind, this uniformity feels eerie, even oppressive. Some psychologists compare it to trypophobia, the cluster hole fear, because both involve a reaction to repeated textures. Culturally, paper is also tied to power and judgment, exams, contracts, bills, rejection letters. Each sheet can deliver life-changing news. For someone prone to anxiety, it's not just a material, it's a messenger of doom. So, while most of us never think twice about it, papyrophobia has roots in biology, memory, and even society's obsession with paper as a tool of authority. It's less a weird quirk and more an alarm system gone into overdrive. Number 5. Fear of numbers. You might laugh at someone afraid of numbers, but arithmophobia is real and more common than you'd think. It's not just struggling with math. It's the physical fear of seeing, hearing, or dealing with numbers. Imagine checking the time and panicking at 11:11 or refusing to enter a house with 13 on the door. Numbers carry enormous symbolic weight across cultures. 13 is cursed in the West. 4 is unlucky in East Asia because it sounds like the word for death. And 666 has terrified Christians for centuries. When you grow up in an environment that treats numbers as omens, it's easy to see how that symbolism can morph into fear. But beyond superstition, there's also a neurological angle. Numbers represent abstraction concepts that can't be touched or seen. For some brains, that abstraction is overwhelming. People with dyscalculia, a learning difficulty with numbers, often develop arithmophobia after years of humiliation in school. Math tests, wrong answers, public embarrassment, all of it cements into trauma. Then there's the existential side. Numbers are infinite. Try to picture eternity or the endless digits of pi, and your mind might spiral into dread. Philosopher David Foster Wallace once described infinity as the dread of something bigger than us that we can't ever touch. For people with arithmophobia, every number becomes a crack in the wall of reality, reminders that the universe is vast, uncountable, and terrifyingly indifferent. Number 4. Fear of shadows. Think about walking home at night and suddenly noticing your own shadow stretching unnaturally long under the streetlight. For most, it's just physics. For others, it's sciophobia, the fear of shadows. On the surface, it seems ridiculous. Shadows can't hurt you. But shadows have always been tied to the unknown. In ancient cultures, shadows were thought to be pieces of the soul. Lose your shadow, and you lose your life force. In Jungian psychology, the shadow represents the hidden darker side of the self. So when someone says they fear shadows, it may not be about light and darkness at all. It's about fearing their own unconscious. There's also a survival mechanism here. Shadows distort reality. They hide predators, exaggerate threats, and confuse depth perception. A flicker in your peripheral vision could be a harmless tree or a predator creeping closer. Evolution hardwired us to pay attention to shadows because ignoring them could have been fatal. Even modern psychology finds this phobia grounded. Studies show that children who grow up in unstable or unsafe environments are more likely to develop an aversion to shadows later in life. The unpredictable shapes mirror the unpredictability of their early surroundings. So when someone flinches at their own shadow, it's not foolishness, it's the brain reading centuries of warning signs. In a way, they're just carrying an ancient survival instinct into a world with too many streetlights. Number 3, fear of gravity. It sounds like the setup for a comedy sketch, being afraid of gravity, the one force you literally can't escape. Yet, barophobia, the fear of gravity, is an actual documented phobia. And surprisingly, it makes more sense than you might think. Some sufferers dread the idea of being crushed by gravity, imagining their bodies flattening into the earth. Others fixate on the opposite, the thought that gravity could suddenly switch off, launching them into space. Both fears stem from the same unsettling realization: gravity is invisible, omnipresent, and utterly beyond human control. Think about it. Gravity keeps oceans in place, pins your body to the planet, and dictates how planets themselves dance in orbit. Without it, everything we know collapses. For people with barophobia, that helplessness becomes unbearable. It's not just fear of falling, it's fear of the cosmic leash we can't cut. This phobia often overlaps with anxiety disorders. A person lying awake at night might suddenly be overwhelmed by thoughts of floating into the void or being crushed under Earth's own pull. And because gravity can't be avoided, the fear is ever present. It's also strangely poetic. Gravity is both our prison and our protector. Without it, we die instantly. With it, we're forever chained to Earth. For someone sensitive to that paradox, every step feels like a reminder that they're not in charge, gravity is. Number 2, fear of reflections in eyes. Ever notice how unsettling it feels when someone's eyes catch the light, just right, reflecting a tiny perfect image of you? For most, it's just an odd curiosity. For others, it's ometophobia, a fear tied to eyes, specifically reflections within them. It's not as random as it sounds. Eyes are often called the windows to the soul, but for people with this phobia, those windows feel like traps. Seeing your own reflection inside someone else's eye can trigger a surreal, out-of-body sensation, as if you're staring into a distorted version of yourself. It creates a loop. You see them, they see you, but inside their eye, you see yourself, seeing them. That recursive effect can spiral into panic. Psychologists compare this reaction to the uncanny valley, where something looks human but feels off. Reflections in eyes are familiar, yet alien miniature, warped, almost ghostly. In ancient myths, eyes were believed to steal or capture souls. Staring too long could bind you, curse you, or expose you. That cultural residue lingers, fueling the unease. There's also a biological angle. Humans are hardwired to watch eyes for survival cues. Are they angry, afraid, or lying? But when the eyes reflect back something unnatural, it scrambles that system. Instead of communication, you get distortion, Instead of clarity, you get confusion. So, the next time you catch your reflection in someone's gaze and feel a shiver, remember it's not paranoia. It's the brain recoiling from an infinite mirror whispering, "You weren't meant to see yourself like this." Number 1, fear of time. Tick, tick, tick. For most, the sound of a clock is background noise. For someone with chronophobia, it's torture. This is the fear of time itself, of passing moments of the future rushing closer, of the unstoppable flow toward death. It shows up often in prisons where inmates stare at walls counting seconds, each tick reminding them of lost freedom. It's also common in the elderly who feel time closing in. But it can strike anyone, sometimes triggered by trauma, sometimes by sudden awareness that life is finite. Unlike other phobias, chronophobia isn't about a specific object. It's about existence itself. Every second proves the fear right. You can't hide from time. You can't bargain with it. It doesn't pause when you need rest. It just keeps moving, dragging you along. That constant reminder can cause panic attacks, insomnia, or obsessive behavior, like checking clocks over and over as if monitoring time could somehow slow it down. Philosophers have wrestled with this dread for centuries. Heidegger called it the terror of being toward death. Buddhists see it as impermanence, the great truth we all resist. Psychologists view it as the ultimate loss of control. No matter what you do, time wins. But here's the twist. Chronophobia isn't just fear, it's awareness. If you feel unsettled by ticking clocks, it means you grasp a truth most ignore. You see the edge ahead, even while others pretend it isn't there. And, in that sense, maybe it isn't madness at all. Maybe it's clarity. That's it for today. I'll be doing similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them